Morning, Swanny, how are you?
Very well, thanks, mate. Good
Welcome
to
to
see you.
Gunn Moore.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Come in.
So this is the start. This is where it all begins.
This is where it all begins, Swanny. What actually happens is when a tree is felled, it's then split into what we call clefts, which is like a it's like a
wedge of
cake,
cheese.
really. Yeah. But obviously we only need that centre bit there to make into the bat, and then they cut from that into what we call a blade. And this is a grade 1, really nice tight grains, very straight, with just perhaps a little hint of colour on the outside edge.
Oh, so this could end up in my bag one day.
This would be a very good bat, I think.
Right.
Yes, I think we get a lot of run to that one. Okay, Swanny, so when we decide we need to put some bats through the manufacturing process, they come through out of the yard into the dehumidifier. It takes about 17 or 18 days to get down to the right moisture content.
Right, so they come outside, they're nice and cold in the yard, they come here and warm up, ready to be made into a new bat.
That's extremely important because the moisture content is vital to making a good bat. So it's firstly resilient, but as light as possible as well. Let's have a look.
Okay, so we're in the kiln now. How many bats have you got? It seems like there's thousands.
Well, this holds 3,500 blades.
In each go. And how long will they be in this kiln for?
18 to 21 days, depending on the moisture content level when they first come in.
Right. So Peter, I've noticed these yellow wires sticking out of one of these clefts. What are they for?
What they do is we put these into the end of the cleft to keep track of the moisture content. This then is read on the outside panel that we saw earlier, and that'll tell us when this batch is ready. There's 4 different blades scattered around at different places so that we can be sure that each cleft is down to the right moisture content before we turn the kiln off.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So is it just whatever you need at the time, or do you do, say, the pros bats, well, we'll put them in now, boys bats tomorrow, or in 3 weeks' time?
Well, they go in here according to what we need to make. So 3,500 blades will work out what the right proportion is for each type of blade, and then when it goes from here, it'll be graded, and if it's a really good blade, it'll go into one
My
of your
bats.
bats.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've come in from the dehumidifier straight into this machine here,
Yes. This is called the moulder.
the moulder.
And the purpose of this is to take the cleft, the blade from out of the dehumidifier and make it into a consistent shape. So when it goes to machining, it starts at exactly the right place and gives the right shape.
Right.
So that's the initial blade, and as you can see, when it's been through the dehumidifier, it's quite rough, and you can't see the grain that well. So when it's been through here, it's much more consistent in shape because some of the blades are not quite uniform. This makes them uniform, and as you can see the grains are much easier and the colour.
Starts to look a lot more like an actual cricket bat now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. So we've left the moulding room and now we've entered the
Grading room.
grading room.
Yeah, each batch of wood comes through into here, and the bat maker looks at each individual piece to determine how good he thinks that piece of wood is. Let's take this one for an example. You can see
Looks very good to me.
Well, it's a pretty exceptional piece of wood actually. There must be 15 grains on there across the face, all evenly spaced, so that'll play particularly well. What the grader will also do is determine which end the handle should be.
Okay.
Obviously the handle end doesn't hit the ball very much, or at least it shouldn't do. So the important bit is to get the best bit of the wood in the driving area. As you can see here, I don't know whether you can just see that
Scoops off.
it's slightly bent at the top here, so the handle will go that end. So down at the bottom, it's dead straight.
And how far off the finished size and shape and article is this cleft now?
Well, that feels a pretty reasonably light piece of wood.
Yeah.
I guess that's about somewhere 3.5 to 4 pounds in weight. It'll lose half that weight in the wood by the time it's shaped. Let's just double check it on the scales. Yeah, there we are, £3.10.
Spot on.
So when the handle's in it, a rubber grip, stickered, that'll be about £2.10 ounces, which will have for a good sized bat, that'll pick up really well.
I'll have that one then.
I think you should. Okay, Swanee, so once we've graded the clefts, it comes into here. Now, the most important thing is to make sure that the moisture content is consistent in this room all through the year. So that if a piece of wood comes in here and it's here for say 3, 4, 5, 6 months, it doesn't deteriorate. It doesn't become too dry, or it doesn't pick up too much moisture.
So everything in this room is quality control, basically, the moisture level.
Yeah. As you can see, there's no windows. It's well insulated. Here we have the panel that's very similar to the one in the big dehumidifier, and there's a small dehumidifying plant here that either sends out warm air or cold air, depending on whether the temperature needs to go up. Try and keep the humidity at about 55% and the temperature up to around about 20 degrees. What happens is if the air becomes too dry, there's you can see just up there's a hot air unit that will throw out steam, and the fan there will circulate it.
Right.
So it'll make the whole building more humid.
More humid.
Yeah. It's one of the other major part of the bat, of course, is the handle, and it's just as important that we keep the moisture content of the handle stable as it is the blade.
Yeah.
As you realise, when the handle goes into the blade, it's cut and spliced into it.
Right.
Now, if this, say, was 20% moisture content and the blade is between 8 and 10 where it should be, then this will shrink in time and cause problems on the glue bond. Okay. So it's just as important that this is at between 8 and 10% as the blade.
And it's made out of the same kind of wood?
No, this is made out of cane. It's spliced with 3 rubber strips to take absorption of shock. Cane is a very good medium for making a handle because it'll stretch in 2 directionally. I'm sure you've seen shots of yourself on Sky where the
sort of wobbles.
Yeah,
doesn't it? Yeah.
And there's a lot of movement at the splice area. So it's very, very important that in the manufacturing process that is very carefully taken care of. Well, Swanee, that's the first part of the manufacturing process. This is really what we've shown you so far is the processes involved in getting all the substrates, the willow and the handle, into the right condition to make fantastic bats. We're now going to go through and see the manufacturing process, and David is just going to come in and take you through the processes of manufacturing. There's David.
Hey, David. Hey, David.
Right then, Swanee, let's show you how we turn a cleft into a cricket bat. The first process is to cut the face on a state-of-the-art CNC machine. Dave's fixing the clefts onto the jigs in the right place. This CNC was designed by Gunn Moore and uses computer-aided design, enabling us to make the most consistent, high-quality bats in the world. So we've just seen the first process on the CNC, and the result of that is we've got a cleft that's got the profile of the face,
Yeah.
but also it's got the bow shaped in.
Oh, you can see that, yeah.
So now that's the correct width for a man's bat, the correct length for a man's bat. It's got the profile of the face and also the bow of a man's bat. So that's now ready to go and be pressed.
So the next stage is
pressing the blade, so it increases the hardness of the face so you don't get any ball damage. So after we machine the face on the CNC, every blade comes and gets pressed. Now what this is doing is it's compressing the surface, generally between 3 and 5 mil that the surface goes down, and what that does is it hardens the surface up so that it can withstand ball impact and doesn't damage the bat when you actually use it in a cricket match. So it'll have 4 passes on this hydraulic press. and after each press, the pressure goes up, so it gradually compresses the surface. The roller shape here is a perfect match to the face, so that we ensure that there's a uniform press across the face and also all the way up the blade. So the first stage of the handle fit is to V-cut the handle. So after we cut the V in the handle, we mirror that cut in the blade so that the handle will fit nicely into the cleft. Mark's just checking the fit of the handle, because obviously it's machine sawn. Every handle needs hand fitting, so he'll see if it's too big or too small. The first thing that he needs to do is clean off the tabs on each side. And then what he's doing there is actually chiselling the set of the handle. He'll then offer it back up to the blade and recheck. He's obviously not happy, so he's going to chisel a little bit more off. So each Gunn Moore handle's hand fitted by a master craftsman. So again, still not happy, so it goes back in, chisel a little bit more off. So that Mark's happy with the fit, and now what he's doing now is actually putting the set in the handle. Just checking that. He's obviously happy, so what now he's going to do is he's going to pull the handle off. And what he's doing here is making the face of the handle flush with the blade, so when we come to glue in, the set doesn't change. And that's how we fit a handle. Okay, after Mark's fitted the handle, what we do then is we glue the handle in. So Madshale knock the handle out, put a good quality PVA glue onto the handle on both sides. And also the tabs of the bat. And then he'll fit the handle back in, making sure that the handle and the blade are flush, and that means that the set that Mark put in it is the same. So once he's happy with that, that's obviously good. He'll clamp that up. And then they'll be kept in those clamps for 24 hours for the PVA glue to dry. The bat then goes back onto the CNC, where the computer designs really come into their own. So this is the CAM, or the computer-aided machining software. The CAM software generates these yellow lines, which are the toolpaths, which are used the machine uses to cut the piece of wood. The model that you see there is the exact thing that the machine's going to cut. You can then compare the CAM model to your CAD model, so what you've drawn and then what you're actually going to machine. So the red is the model, the grey is the actual machined bat, and any red you can see is what we've actually cut into the CAD model, but actually when you look at how much we've cut in, it's actually microscopic. Another thing that software can do is we can simulate what the machine does. So before we actually machine any willow at all, we've got a pretty good idea of what shape we're going to machine. So this is the finished bat. You can see that it's had its back cut, the pineapple that you saw, scooped out the profile. With the scoop it means that you get a big swell, but with less weight because you've got less wood in there.
Okay. And it cut the toe.
Cut the toe, so it's the right length, the correct length. The shoulder's been cut, only rough finished. You'll see Kev later finish them by hand, and then they'll get sanded. But that's the bat off the machine.
It's now looking like a real bat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
not far off at all.
Every bat that comes off the machine for that profile is exactly the same. So whenever if you buy a bat today, next year you want the same bat, you can go into the shop and buy the same bat with no problem. This will be exactly the same shape.
Very clever machine.
Okay, so this is a bat from the CNC. Kev, over to you. Kev's our bat maker, so he does all the finishing work. So what I'll do now is he'll blend in the shoulder to the handle. So just like the handle fit, this is a really skilled job.
Yeah.
Without revealing Kev's age, he's been doing it for 35 years, so he knows what he's doing.
Since he left school at 12.
No, he said a really long paper round, didn't you, Kev?
Yeah, I did.
Rasp it to get rid of any of the sharp ridges to make sure that the handle's nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. So that's the handle blended.
All ready to go now.
Now from this stage what will happen is it'll go and get sanded and polished. Sanding's another highly skilled job. Ian's carefully following the spine and edge profile of the bat. This is the polishing process. We use a silicone wax to polish our bats. So the first process is to apply the silicone wax. Second stage is to buff the bat up, so put a nice sheen on the bat. Toe tech is applied to every one of our Gunn Moore bats. This helps to reduce damage to the toe. It's caused by tapping at the crease, and it's also a further barrier to damp. All our bats are provided with GM Now, which is a factory knocked-in service and an anti-scuff cover. We do, however, recommend that you don't go straight in with a hard ball and you use an old ball in the nets to start off with. We're the first company to provide this service, and we're renowned for the quality of our knocking in. Rob's going to show us how to bind the handle. We do this for two reasons. The first thing is to make sure that you don't get any splinters through the grip, and the second reason is to stiffen the handle up. Easy. Swanny, you can have a go. Oops, England career over.
Touches to the bat.
Yeah.
The final stages of the process is to sticker and grip. Dotty lovingly stickers each bat.
Bats an hour. See, it takes me 1 hour to do a bat. Mind you, I don't have this device in the changing room.
Jan will custom fit each grip and then add all the finishing touches.
Well, Swanny, that's the end of the process. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have. Thanks for showing me around.
Brilliant. I hope your fingers aren't too bad.
Well, yeah, I don't think I've ever got a job as a handler, as a grip man, but
Let's hope you can still spin it.
yeah, me too.
Before you go, of course you need a bat. I'll just take one out of here, which I think looks a pretty good bat. What do you think to that? Very similar to the one that I showed you in the grading room.
It looks just about perfect to me.
Does it feel?
Feels like a belter.
Right, let's have a look. Okay, let's weigh it.
$210?
210 and a half.
210
Very,
and a half.
yeah. I'll always pick up that little bit better.
Yeah.
Oh, just feel that.
Perfect. Good on you.
Great.